Hi, welcome to the teamMarine Salesforce Lightning sneak peek. This is a presentation that's just going to review some of the features of the new Lightning user interface that's coming out as part of Salesforce's Winter 2020 release next month. So to start with, I'm just going to review some of the what I see as some pros and cons of Lightning, just to kind of set the stage here, and then we'll go into some sort of side-by-side screen comparisons so you can kind of see what's really changing. And then at the end of this, we'll do an actual live walkthrough on our demo site so you can kind of see what Lightning looks like live. So just to start with, probably the biggest change that you're going to notice with Lightning is it's just a whole lot more modern and user-friendly. You've been using what Salesforce is terming the classic user interface, and Lightning is just a whole lot more easy to work with, I think. It's got a whole lot better set of reports and dashboards, as you'll see here. Because of the new look and feel, it's a lot more consistent with what you're familiar with related to Salesforce Mobile. It's a lot more customizable with drag and drop components, giving you the chance to really customize your pages however you want. Probably the most important thing is it's the future of all new Salesforce development. So they're not doing any more development on Classic. They're investing all of their energies around Lightning, and so this is the future of Salesforce. And probably the most important thing you just need to know from the get-go is that we're not giving up Classic. Classic is still going to be available to you. You can toggle back and forth whenever you want. And so Salesforce has made it really convenient for users migrating to the new user interface. In terms of the cons, it's probably just change that most people are not going to like. And so again, given they've got the ability to toggle back into Classic if that's where they'd prefer to work, shouldn't be a problem. But I think most people just don't like change, and so that's going to be probably the number one piece of resistance you're going to get from your users. We've got a number of custom buttons that are going to need to be upgraded, and so that's going to be something we're going to need to kind of work on over time, especially if you've got custom work that's been done on your site. Some of the obvious omissions are the inability to merge customers within Lightning or to retrieve deleted documents or records. Not a big deal though, you can just toggle back to Classic and do it like you've always done. But I think these are going to be things that eventually will come out as part of Lightning. And then lastly, I noticed early on that with an older computer it was a little bit slower. I think Lightning is a lot more resource intensive, and so if you've got some users with older computers it may be an issue. But again, because you can always toggle back to Classic, you shouldn't be impacted by this. All right, let's take a look at some of the sort of side-by-sides, if you will, of what you're used to now versus what's coming up with Lightning. So on the left side of the screen, you'll recognize the classic user interface that you've been using all along. You've got your quick links here on the left-hand side of the screen. You've got your top 3 charts of your dashboard here in the main part of the screen. Your tasks below that, your tabs across the top of the screen. This is what you've grown accustomed to as you've been working with teamMarine and Salesforce since you've started. With Lightning, everything basically flips, and so all of those quick links and shortcuts are now displayed over here on the right part of the screen. You've got your round robin designee up here if you're using our round robin lead assignment app. You've got some other shortcuts here to get to your other favorite parts of Salesforce. Your tasks are displayed here on the right-hand side of the screen. And then you've got a much more dynamic and better looking set of dashboard charts and gauges here on the left main part of the screen. And I'll get more into dashboards as we get into this presentation. Toggling between Classic and Lightning is really simple to do. You just need to know how to do it. If you're in Lightning and you want to get back over into Classic, just click on the little circle here in the upper right hand corner of the screen, and then you'll find a Switch to Salesforce Classic link down at the bottom of that page that pops up. Likewise, if you're in Classic and you want to get back over into Lightning, just click on the Switch to Lightning Experience link at the top of the screen, and that will dump you back into Lightning. While toggling back and forth between Classic and Lightning is really simple, I do recommend that you spend as much time as you can in Lightning. As was stated earlier, it is the future direction of Salesforce, and that's going to be where we're spending most of our development time as well. So I hope you get comfortable with it as soon as possible. As I mentioned earlier, the reporting and dashboards has been greatly improved with Lightning. Here's an example on the left-hand side of the screen of a typical report you're familiar with. I've always had a hard time kind of reading these reports in the sense that it just doesn't really seem to organize the information real well. Whereas in the new Lightning set of reports, it's a lot more easy to understand and read these reports to kind of see how the records are being organized. Likewise, your dashboard charts and reports has gotten a nice upgrade here. So this is what your typical classic set of dashboards looks like. You're always limited to 3 columns. There is a limit to the number of actual charts you can have on your dashboard, whereas with the more dynamic and responsive dashboard here over in Lightning, you can have any number of dashboards and charts. You've got some additional charting capabilities. You can size them however you want, organize them however you want to produce the exact dashboard that you want to be looking at on a regular basis. When it comes to views, I'm actually clicked into the Sales tab here and I'm running the My Deals view. And so this has been a great tool in Salesforce where you're able to kind of create filters on your data, set up your different columns, sort on your data, make mass updates to your data. It's been really a great asset to how you work with your data in Salesforce. But what's really great about Lightning, aside from the fact that you've got the ability to do the same kind of thing but in just a nicer user interface, with Lightning you actually get this Kanban view where you're actually able to organize your records across, in this case, the different stages. So you can see the different stages I've got here under my My Deals tab, and I'm able to actually drag and drop these various deal records into different stages. And as I do that, the tallies automatically adjust, and it's just kind of a nicer, more fun way to kind of organize your pipeline. So one of the nice new features that I like about Lightning is the use of these paths that you see here across the top of the screen. So what I've done here is I've clicked into an actual deal record, and these are just the stages of the deal that users were normally modifying through the actual stage field. So this just gives the user a nice sort of visual as to where this deal is in the sequence. And just by clicking on one of these and clicking the Mark as Complete button, they're updating the actual stage of the deals that they're working on. What this page also gives you an idea about is how the information is now organized. So you can see all of the main data that you're accustomed to seeing already in Classic here on the left. But what I really like is how they're organizing now all of the activity over here on the right. So all of the information is kind of toward the top of the screen. You're not having to always scroll down to the bottom of the page just to get to activity. You can be managing sort of all of that right here at the top of the screen. And then probably my favorite feature of Lightning is their use of this new cute little use of confetti. And so I'm going to click on this and just kind of run a little demo here of what happens when the deal is changed to price quote stage. The user is actually rewarded with a little bit of a confetti here, given the fact that they actually got the customer to price quote. So this is kind of a neat little feature you can enable for your various stages if you want, just to kind of reward users and make Salesforce a little bit more fun. Alright, so let's take a live look at Lightning. In order to do that, I'm actually going to be using our sea trial demo site, which is available off of teamMarine1.com. So if you yourself want to take a peek at this before you actually have access to this in your own Salesforce site, I invite you to come here and give it a try yourself. So what you do is just go to teamMarine1.com, just click on our Try It yellow starburst here, and then click on the Take a Sea Trial button here. That will dump you into our demonstration site, which is the site I'm going to be using for the purposes of kind of showing you around. So it's the exact same site you'll be looking at. And so as I discussed and kind of presented in the presentation here, when you log into Salesforce initially, you're now going to be dumped into the new and revised Home tab. As you can see here, it's a very sort of feature-rich looking dashboard here on the left. As I'm hovering over the various elements of these gauges, I'm getting more detail. Obviously, if I click into the report itself to kind of drill down, as I indicated before, you get a much nicer looking report. You can include these nice charts here at the top if you want, or you can toggle those on or off. But the actual presentation of the data is just a whole lot more intuitive, just a whole lot easier just to read. And if you have subscribed to some of these reports to be emailed to you, they look really great in email messages. Let's go back to the Home tab here. As I mentioned, all of that sort of shortcut information that normally appears on the left-hand side of the screen is now sort of flipped over here to the right. So if you are using our round robin lead assignment app, here's where you're going to find your next assignee. If you're going to be putting in new leads manually, you'll recognize this screen. You're just basically now accessing this here on the Home tab off of the right-hand side of the screen. So if I just go ahead and look up myself in the system, here I am. I'm just now proceeding like you normally would proceed through the classic version of Salesforce. Likewise, you've got your matchmaker search here if you want to do searches for customers that either want or own certain kind of boats. This is the same functionality that you've got currently. And then any of these quick links that have been set up for you, you've got your boat locator. You should have this just giving you a nice Google map of where all your boats are physically located. You've got a customer locator map showing you where your customers are, and you can break this out by the different kinds of customer records in Salesforce. So if you've got, let's go sales prospects, just kind of giving you just a real-time view of where all of your actual customer records are located on a nice Google map. If you've got the digital showroom, that doesn't change. It's the same old, same old. You're just accessing that from your shortcut, just giving you a nice ability to show off your boats, either at a, at a boat show or in your showroom on a nice big touchscreen monitor. Again, just kind of the standard digital showroom that you may be used to already. As I mentioned, the shift in tasks, those are now over here on the right-hand side. So if I just show all my overdue, here's everything just kind of in a short list. But if I want to expand this to kind of see what's going on, I just hit the view all. And what's nice about this is you just have sort of a nice running tally down the left-hand side of the screen here. So as I'm kind of just going through based on due date is how I'm sorting these, what needs to be done, I get the information over here on the right-hand side. And at this point, I could be making edits to these tasks, completing them, what have you. So that's one of the views you get. You also get additional views here. So if you want to change the presentation of these, you're just going to display this maybe in table view if you want to just get a nice running list of all the tasks that you've created for yourself. Obviously, you're flipping back and forth between, in this case, overdue, which is what I've actually pinned here, which is a nice feature of Lightning. I'm actually pinning this because I want it's kind of like a favorite. Every time I come into tasks, I want it to always show me my overdue tasks. But you could obviously select one of these other ones, recently viewed, for example, or maybe anything that's technically open still, not overdue per se. So you're just basically now navigating, kind of using the views, pinning views if you want to show them however you want to show them. Now while I'm here, I'm going to go back to the overdue tasks here. Say this is a favorite of mine. Say I use this all the time. This is a very popular aspect of Salesforce. What's nice is when you open these up and you get a new tab here, you can actually save these. So if I wanted to keep using this as a tab and I just wanted to keep referring to it, I could actually just add this to my nav bar. And now, if it's really important, I can just bring it right over here. If this is like the most important thing to me, and when I come into Salesforce, it's always going to be here. I can just click on it, and it's always going to bring me right back to my overdue tasks here in Salesforce. Just a nice feature of being able to customize your nav bar, have whatever tabs of information, even records. If you have certain favorite customers, certain favorite reports or dashboards, you can save them as actual shortcuts right on your nav bar. All right, let's move through the system a little bit more here. I'm just now clicking into the Customers tab. What's also nice, since you don't have that left nav bar following you throughout the system like you used to, what Salesforce does is it gives you all of your recent items right underneath the tab. So if you visited a customer record here recently, or a boat or a deal, you're going to find those as shortcuts right here under your tabs as recent records. Likewise, any kind of recent lists that you've run, views, if you will, that you want to get to on a frequent basis, those are all going to be accessible right with a single button click off of the tab on the nav bar. So let's actually go into my record here so you can kind of see what this looks like. Again, the orientation's been reconfigured to give you more of that important information kind of at the top of the screen. So here's all my main contact information. Again, this all can be customized however you want based on what your users want to typically see for any record in Salesforce. And so here's all of that sort of main contact information about me, my boat interests down a little bit further, but I'm not dragging all the way down a screen just to be able to get that information. It's pretty much right up here at the top of the screen. Now all of those related records that you're used to seeing down at the bottom, they're just moved over into a related tab here. So now I've got nice convenient access to these if I want to even go in here. This is not even something that you have to go into, but you just know that they're here under the related tab for whatever record it is that you're visiting. Some of the other neat features, as I mentioned in the initial presentation, Lightning is actually based on components. And so what I've done in editing this page is I've just dragged over a list item component here, and I'm just showing, in this case, the boats that the current customer owns. And so if I wanted to just have those all readily available right here, just to be able to see exactly what boat record it is that they own, that could be something you modify for your page layout so that that information is then kind of top and center right here on the customer record. Also, all of that activity is now over here conveniently displayed. So logging your activity right here, it's just kind of a nice timeline view, so you can kind of see how your activity is stacking up over time. You're logging calls, creating new tasks, sending email messages, all sort of nice within this convenient little activity component here on the page. All right, let's go into the sales tab here. Again, I've set this to automatically remember my deals. And so these would be some other views that have been created in the system. And so toggling back and forth is really entirely up to you. But I've pinned this one because it's my favorite and it's where I want to always land whenever I click on my sales tab. Now, what I went over in the demonstration or the intro PowerPoint was just a discussion about this new Kanban view. So all I've done is these are all of my deals in a nice set of columns organized around my various stages. And so here, what's kind of nice about this is now I'm just sort of visually managing these. So as I'm moving people from one stage to the other, I'm just dragging and dropping them, putting them into whatever category they need to be in. And as you can see here, as I'm doing that, all of these numbers are then adjusting. So it just kind of gives you a sort of a more fun aspect to using Salesforce, just to stay organized in terms of all the leads and deals you're following up on. Now at any time, I could just switch this back to a list view. So I'm going to just change this little icon here to a table. And now I've got a nice list of all of my deals, kind of like you're familiar with now in Classic. It's just however you want to sort these columns. You can edit these list views however you want to show whatever columns you want. And so again, it's more of your sort of traditional Classic view of your data. All right, so let's actually go into an actual deal record here so you can kind of see what's going on there. So I'm going to go into this favorite, or not recent, a recent record that I visited. And this is the deal. So this is what I'd be now working on as a salesperson. Here are the various stages right across the top of the screen, these paths that Lightning introduced. So I'm currently sitting at the interested stage. I've got all my customer contact information, the boat that they're looking for, etc. And so you're now drilled into an actual deal here, and as a salesperson I could be logging my activity, following up on this interest in the boat. And then as I demonstrated in the PowerPoint, the sort of the cute little confetti, if I actually go into in contract on this, we've got a trigger on the in contract stage. When I go ahead and mark that as complete, I get rewarded as a salesperson for getting this customer into in contract. Just a nice way of rewarding that user for a job well done. Some of the other things across the top of the screen, you're probably going to have lots of different buttons. This happens to include a price quote, so if you're using price quotes, you still have all of those buttons, or you will have all those buttons once we make the upgrade. And so those buttons still appear here, just here in the upper right hand corner instead of the top center of the screen, which is where you're accustomed to seeing them now. Let's go into boats here. In fact, I'm going to go to a recent view, my for sale all boats view. Just going to jump right into that. That's also my pinned view, but I have all of these other views here. This can be any number of custom views that you've created for yourself. But this is just basically, I want to see all my boats that are for sale. And so here is that nice list in my traditional sort of classic table view. Let me go into one of my favorites, this Bennington, that I've got a bunch of pictures on, just so you can kind of see what a boat looks like here in Lightning. Again, you've got your buttons across the top of the screen, so if you've got, here's the window sticker PDF. If you're doing that sort of thing, you'll still have that. Sales activity, just some other kind of custom things that have been created on this demo site. We've put your pictures over here. If you're using this for keeping track of all your images, it's all drag and drop now. If you're doing the slideshow, digital showroom, having your pictures in the exact order you want them to appear, that's kind of what this little mini app does here over on the right hand side of the screen. But the rest of the data here is just going to be all the same data and all the fields of data that you have on your existing boat records. If you're hooking into Google Analytics for your website, you've got your website views here, but again, it's all the same fields of information that you're already accustomed to seeing, just organized in a nicer user interface. Finally, if you want to try this out before it goes live next month, I invite you to visit our website. Just go to teamMarine1.com, click on the yellow starburst here, and that will take you to our trial options, where you can click on our See Trial Demo button. It'll dump you right into our live demonstration site, which has been turned on for Lightning, and so you're able to kind of click around, play around with our demo data, and kind of just get a feel for what Lightning is all about before it actually becomes part of your own Salesforce site. All right, well, thank you for taking a look at this new sneak peek of Lightning, and as always, I'm here. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out.